Well, good day, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of WTF Walk the Floors. I'm Stephanie Ledger of First Rate Hospitality, and I'm here with my co host, Michele Kline of Kline Hospitality. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Stephanie. How are you?
Very well. So, what are we going to be talking about today, Michele?
We will be touching upon one of my most favorite topics in the whole wide world, and that is company culture.
Oh, nice. And what
Com-
is company culture?
yes,
Because
so
I
company
feel a lot of
culture
people
is
don't.
it is the heartbeat. Literally, it's the heartbeat of how we do what we do in the workplace. Is the one thing that keeps things going. Remember back in the day when a company was owned by, let's say, Mr. Smith. And Mr. Smith would make his rounds around the factory, saying hello to the employees, connecting with people. Mr. Smith knew about that employee's name, family, how's your kid
Mhm.
doing? Did he make it into college? Whatever that looked like, there was a true, genuine connection between the team member and the company owner. And as we start moving into corporations and companies being managed by a board or more people owning the organization, we start detaching and losing that connection as the years go by. So if there is anything that we can do as employers these days, that we can do as managers these days, is continue on building on that culture so that people want to stay. That's the
Mhm.
reality.
Absolutely. And so then, why do you think, what's changing with between going from Mr. Smith and now to the corporate side of things with the board of directors?
I think that it's mainly the fact that we work on vision, mission, and values, right? Culture is the sum of formal and informal systems, behaviors, and values. And the reality is that if we don't have a process in place to trickle down, to cascade down all that information, the systems, the behaviors, the values, the mission, the vision, how are we going to do it? Why is this important to us? Why should it be important to you as a team member? So
Hmm.
when we fail to do that from the top down is when the culture starts changing or starts shifting from the primary purpose, right? And that's when our team members start missing out on what you're truly there for, right? And
Hmm.
it starts detaching from the team members' expectation when we see that cultures are not following the mission, the vision, the values, and how we do things is the same as what the things we say, right? There has to be a connection between both. So it's more of the words what have to be in place and more of a behavior that has to be in place, and it's a combination of things. All of these things create that experience for the employee, right? It
Hmm.
only creates the experience for the employee, it creates the experience for the customer, for the guest, for the patron. So at its core, the company culture is how things get done around in the workplace.
Yes.
And yeah, go for it.
No, I was going to say, we had traditionally seen it more at a slower pace of that transition. Maybe the board of directors now, Mr. Smith is on the board of directors as part of the process. So the management company or whoever is taking over the property, he's still involved and he's showing, how he was running things and engaged in creating the culture with the employees. But now we're seeing it at much faster pace where, it could be the next day, Mr. Smith's no longer there. More, or the board of directors is more around the same age of retirement or going off to a different field or industry. And it's creating this culture shift much faster, and we're losing it from who would be the next ones in line, or a younger generation too.
Absolutely. And one thing that we also perhaps not pay so much attention to is the fact that as the board changes or as the company changes hands, the company culture receives there's an impact to that, right?
Mhm.
Because not everybody carries out the message the exact same way, right? So I think that that is something that we should address too. How many times have you seen management in place on a higher level at a property, for example? Just that simple as at a
Yeah.
property level. You change your GM, or you change a set of different vice presidents because there's a new GM and that person brings in different new vice presidents to lead those different departments. There's many things that the older one has set in place, but the new one comes in and says, we're going to start doing these things this way.
Yeah.
And as we not take those initiatives to the finish line is when the culture starts breaking too. The culture
Yeah.
gets affected by it, right? Lack of communication affects your company culture too. So if we look at, for example, there's several things that I like looking into when I study the culture and try to figure out how are ways that we can improve the culture, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Either from a department level or from as a whole, a property level or an organization as a whole that has several properties along the various states or the different areas in the world. I like looking at values and I also like looking at aesthetics.
Mhm.
Aesthetics is a low hanging fruit. Low hanging fruit. Think about the following from an aesthetics and an atmosphere standpoint. What are the things that can influence company culture?
Yeah.
Dress code, right?
Yes.
We had to move from not allowing tattoos at all to allowing some tattoos, right?
Mhm. And
So that we
facial
can be more
hair.
inclusive. Yes, and facial hair and piercings, right? Without losing the identity of the brand, we have had to adapt in order to create a smoother, more inclusive, more caring culture for our team members, right? What about office layout?
Mhm.
Right? Where you have perhaps areas where there's teams that will collaborate with each other.
Yep.
Is that area created, is the layout created in a way where you're going to be able to collaborate, but at the same time get the job done?
Yeah.
Or is it all collaboration? And now you
Yeah.
can't get the job done because it's, you know what I mean? Like how many people went from the classic, like the old school Google type of layout where everyone was so on board with it. And years later, you realize people's productivity is going down because they don't know when to pick up their laptop or if they have a
Yeah.
desktop, that's that.
Yeah.
When do I put myself in that bubble so that I can get the job done?
Or
Right?
feeding into the rumor mill, be like a toxic. Now all they do is just talk negative, start rumors, or they're spreading rumors or continuing the telephone game. Where it's also too when you're working together in the same department, that could also
Yep.
too now be a negative effect.
Absolutely. The other one that I love looking into is the programs, right? What perks does
Mhm.
the employee have? Those non-traditional benefits. What does
Yeah.
that look like? And how can we investigate what the interests of our team members are? Because we may think that there's this really cool program in place or this really cool initiative in place, but it's now so old that no one really cares about that anymore because your team has shifted, and as your
Yeah.
team shifts they have other needs and other interests. So looking at the perks or the non-traditional benefits, I think that's definitely something from the aesthetic standpoint that we can address. And then the other one is your social calendar. What
Mhm.
is your social calendar? What are you doing to engage the team? Is it
Yes.
holidays? Are we all dressing up for Halloween?
Mhm.
Is it um I don't know,
Ice cream truck
when
in the
is
summer.
yeah, totally. Or one that's really cool that we do here on the West Coast a lot, which is on Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We have every department submit a bra that is completely um, decorated, And
Mhm.
many departments will pour what they do on a daily basis on the actual bra, and then it gets displayed in the employee cafeteria and so on, right? So there's so many ways that we can add value to the company culture from an aesthetic standpoint that
Yeah.
sometimes we fail to realize.
Yep.
Another example, how many times have you seen or experienced higher performance right after a team member lounge or a cafeteria or a dining room for team members that has been refurbished,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Or when, I don't know, maybe you have a new awesome third shift cleaning crew and decides to tackle the team member cafeteria first, and the team members walk in and the floor looks like it's amazing, like it's like a mirror, right? So low hanging fruit.
Yes. And I think with that too is even looking at the attendance and tardiness as well. So if you're seeing in a consistency in one department in the entire hotel, or is it just one employee, and really analyzing that. And I think that says a lot too about what's going on in the company culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely 100%. Yeah. The other one on the aesthetic side for me is performance increases when the
Hmm.
property looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Your team members that are assigned to the smoking tower, or you have, I don't know, your smoking floor, one or two
Hmm.
smoking floors, right, in bigger properties, and perhaps are the rooms that are the least appealing looking because they get refurbished less often, remodeled less often. Those are the ones that don't have as good of a performance, right?
Yeah.
And when you go into remodeling and the team is all on board and you have new carpets and you have and everything smells fresh and new and clean and it looks beautiful, they're more excited,
Yes.
right? So now you're going into a workplace that are you're super excited about being there.
Yes. And even the aesthetics of their uniform as well.
Absolutely.
If they have to provide their own pants, but you're the one that's providing their top for them. And we always talk about we're on stage, we need to shine. And then we have the uniforms that we're giving them from like 5 years ago, or they're stained or they're worn and they're not showing that fresh look like the rest of the property would show. And even department wise as well, you'll see one department like front of the house, they're getting always the new uniforms, and that you have someone that's in the back of the house maybe saying stewarding, and they don't get to feel that same love, and we're already creating a divide in the hotel just over on uniforms.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And also allowing the team to have a say,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I know that the front desk is very particular about what they wear, and so is housekeeping.
Yes.
So it's absolutely important to allow the team to have a say.
Yes.
Same as your servers. Servers usually want to make
Mhm.
sure that they have a say on their shoes, right? Of course, they're on their feet all day long. And then from a
Absolutely.
values perspective, Stephanie, how positive company culture has the their values at the forefront of the team member day in and day out,
Yep.
right? Day
Absolutely.
in and day out. Your values is something that your team should know by heart, whether they carry a little card or there's an emblem or there's something on the hallways, or there's always something that should remind them of your company values and your it's that's your core,
Yeah. And I
right?
think coming from, the luxury hotel background, I would have to say that is something that the a lot of the luxury brands is with the card, with the values, talking about it always every day at stand up, reciting the mission statement at different events, the first thing that you're saying. And when you're in it every day, you're like, okay, why are we doing this again? But, over the years, or when you go into a different brand, you realize the importance it is to having that, and making sure that you're having that as part of your culture, as well as that reminder. Because then the more that you go farther away from it, now you're farther away from your values, your mission, and what that brand is.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, what is your can you think of one? Can you think of one WTF type of moment where again, where the management or the executive team walks the floor when they know what's going on,
Yeah.
these things can be avoided.
Yeah.
What's your
And
story?
I would have to say it's not really like the WTF moment, but a aha moment where it all
Okay.
comes together is we were at a property. So we had a GM and he would make four of us on the executive level walk the floors every day. It was at 2 o'clock. No matter what, 2 o'clock, we had to meet in the lobby. And we would do this route of walking through the property, and we would pick two or three random rooms and we will walk to the rooms. And so we would have front desk, engineering, housekeeping, and then also too for training and culture, and we would be now walking the floor. So here we are, could have been an hour before, and basically going at it with each other, being like, "Why isn't this room checked out?" Or "What happened to this? Why are we moving this VIP?" And then now we come to 2 o'clock, and it was the moment of peace that we would all come together, and we would all also to collaborate on different things that needed to be fixed. So we would walk, we would see the employees. We're like, wow, why aren't they saying hi to us? They're usually, maybe they're having an off day. How about you go talk to them? Not like someone that's their direct boss, but someone that they still had that relationship with. And I mean, was on our calendar at 2 o'clock, no matter what happened before or after, but we would all come together. And even with our planning, so if we knew a room needed to be renovated or an area needed some TLC, there's a lot of planning that goes into it, with front desk blocking the room, housekeeping, making sure they have the staff to being able to get what's done. What is engineering's part? Where are we seeing, oh, more dust is now becoming prevalent into the rooms? Okay, for training, now we need to making sure that we're having this part of training. But I would have to say, as an aha moment, definitely WTF moments in that, but for overall, an aha of, coming together with the different departments every day.
Lovely. I have a positive story to share too. Again, an aha moment, WTF from the perspective of how are you telling me this is the first time this happens in your world, right? I'm talking about taking over several properties, and I have always been very hands on, right? I'm out there, I'm on the field. I want to know what's going on. I want to know everyone's name. I'm in everybody's business. What are the tools that you need, right? Super hands on.
Been there
And going out,
firsthand, witnessing that.
okay. So, going out there and starting my rounds on my very first few weeks of taking over, and team members stopping me on the hallways and saying, "We've never had this before.
Mhm,
We've
mhm.
never had a GM that would walk the properties. We've never had someone that would, I don't know, like stop and curiously ask, how is your day? Like, what's going on in your life?" Right? Making that true connection to try to see how can I make your world better? Because I
Mhm.
know if I make your world better, the entire operation is going to benefit from it. But
Exactly.
definitely an aha moment thinking, I have team members in these properties that have been around for 20 years,
Mhm.
right? 15 years, 12 years. And the GM walking around is new to you.
Yeah.
That is scary.
Yeah. And I'd have to say it, definitely for our listeners of, now reflecting into your different departments, into your property, and how you are working with other departments or even engaging in your team. This is a great time to really just sit back for a moment to be in what could be even the simplest thing that I could be able to do. Like one of them, a water cooler in the department. Or easy accessible for if they are up on the floors, the staff, like housekeeping, where can we make sure that we can have things of that doesn't cost much but really can go a far way for the department and the hotel to come together.
Absolutely. That totally creates a culture of care. I love that
Yeah.
tip. So I can talk about culture for hours on end, right? But I know everybody's busy, that word I hate. Everybody's productive. So, if there is my last final tip that I would
Mhm.
leave you with is companies that focus on creating cultures of care, on creating great cultures that people want to stay in,
Mhm.
are companies that allow their employees to make mistakes, to figure things out, to get good out of the mistakes that they made from a learning perspective, and allow the team members to have that opportunity to solve problems, right, without breaking the relationship,
Yeah,
without making them feel like there is something tremendous that's going to come out of that, right? How can we allow team members to feel empowered to be able to fix their own boo-boos and to know that their management team has their back?
absolutely. The
That's
support
my last tip.
system, yeah, support. Absolutely. Showing your team the support. And with you said, having them being themselves, we're not here all being robots on the way that we provide service, even though we want consistent service, but we want the authenticity of the employees, to show in their service. So great last tip.
Absolutely. Super. All
All
right.
right.
This is lovely. Culture, culture, culture. Make it
Yeah.
happen. We're out there. Get out there. Because
Yes.
it turns the page. You will see how things start flourishing and your team starts performing on a higher level for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, everyone. See you next
Thank
time.
you.